just move this laptop. Hello guys, so it is Wednesday the 26th of June, and today was my day that I had the follow-up after 2 years almost, can you believe it, for the endocrinology department, to much the receptionist at the doctor's surgery couldn't even pronounce. And I was more excited for this today because I had my blood work done last week, and I haven't had my bloods done in a couple of months since I started this journey, by the way. This is key. Slightly confused on the results, but she seemed to think that they were, she was so impressed with me. So I got there and they was like, right, we need to weigh you. And I said, look, I've suffered with anorexia, and although, yes, I'm not anorexic, I'd rather not. And she was completely fine with that, so I was cool. Didn't weigh in. Don't believe what things say on the scales anyway, so I was quite happy to not weigh in. I then went and sat with the specialist. This is a key word here. She's meant to be the specialist in the endocrinology department that 2 years ago said to me, you're at a decent BMI, you've gained the necessary weight, you're not anorexic anymore, you've been on estrogen replacement therapy, there is no reason why your cycles should have not returned, didn't even consider my exercise regime. And I'm going to, put this down as you've now gone into what's called hypothalamic amenorrhea. Today, it was as if she didn't even know what it was. That's how scary it was. So I got in there and I said, look, this is my journey since October. I've seen a specialist who pumped me with all these bloody progesterone, estrogen, DHEA, testosterone. That was at the beginning of the year, guys. And I stopped that after the 12-week period and said, bollocks to this. I'm going to do it myself. I read that book by Nicola Rinaldi and I thought, no, I'm going to try this the proper way. Now, my last blood test results were done in March. We're in June, so March, April, May, June. That's 3 months ago, only 3 months. My estrogen levels back in March were 46 to 55, which was still better than what they were when I was in the height of the anorexia, mind you, but significantly lower than what they should be. FSH, that was low, and LH was like 0.1. So indicative of somebody with hypothalamic amenorrhea. Today, however, bearing in mind I had my bloods done last Wednesday, I had finished the clomiphene cycle 2, which she did say can increase estrogen levels, but not by the level that was presented to her. She said they're all in a very, very good range. In particular, your estrogen was over 1,000. Over 1,000. That is, it could be down to the clomiphene, but even so, she said the clomiphene wouldn't bring it up to that level. It would just skewer the results a little bit. I don't know what she meant by that. I should have asked her to elaborate a little bit, really. But anyway, so she said that was that. LH was 4.6. Oh my God, I have not had an LH reading of 4.6 ever. 10 years I've been going through this, and in 10 years, every blood test, and I've had so many, like stupid amounts of blood tests, I have never ever had a reading of 4.6 ever. And I come out of there thinking, oh my God, this is great. Do you know what she said to me? So I went through the whole thing. I told her about the clomiphene. The reasons why I put myself on the clomiphene cycles was because I read the article, protocol, which if you didn't know, have a look online and just put clomiphene protocol for HA. And it will bring you to the experiment that they did on women with significantly lower BMIs than myself. And they did an extended protocol where they took 5 days at 50, a further 5 days of 100. In 6 of the 8 women, they had a menstrual cycle, so an ovulation cycle in the first round. And in the second cycle, which was repeated for those 2 that didn't, they then got them. And then after the 3 cycles were done, they stopped all clomiphene and their cycles returned to normal. Yes. So I thought to myself, right, well, I am of a higher weight. I had gone all in. I know, albeit 5 weeks, 4.5, 5 weeks. But I did do it. And things definitely changed. So I thought I would give this a go and see what happens. And stuff has been happening, guys. You know, I spotted last week, I had a pinky, tingy, whatever the hell that was. I then didn't have an ovulation cycle because obviously didn't have a proper period. Done a pregnancy test, ruled that one out, obviously. And then I did the Provera challenge, which I've not long finished. And I did have a bleed. I had a bleed for 5 to 6 days, which is just incredible. And all of this, she was listening to every single bit of it. And she said, you know, it's a good thing that we didn't weigh you. Do you know the first thing she said to me when I sat down? She went, oh, you've gained weight. I mean, listen, yes, I bloody have gained weight, necessary weight, but who are you to say that? I know there isn't any malice behind it, but sorry, even if you think that I've lost or gained, no one has the right to say to any human being that they feel that, you know, you've lost weight or gained it. Because when you're telling somebody that they've lost weight, for example, but they've done it through a really unhealthy routine, much to the same of what we do, it can fuel something within that person to go, oh, I just want to keep losing weight. I just want to keep losing weight. Even somebody who hasn't got an eating disorder, it can affect them. And the opposite is much the same. You know, I'm in a good place, so she's lucky I didn't knock her out, really. But anyway, she then followed it up with, I'm glad you didn't weigh yourself because I can clearly see that your muscle mass and body composition is significantly different as well. You do have a lot more muscle mass, which would skewer the results on the BMI chart anyway, which was something else to follow up with, you know, shadowing the fact that she'd just called or said I'd gained weight. But then she also said that I had educated her at the end of it. She gave me the DEXA scan referral, guys, so that's something I'm going to be having soon. And she said, you know, what do you want to do? Do you want to carry on with what you've been doing? Because it's obviously working, Emma. And I was like, yeah, sure. She said, just so you're aware, some women take 3 to 4 cycles of clomiphene before it has an effect. Well, I would say that from the readings in my blood and the estrogen, that something's definitely happening. It's just whether or not that situation is then ending up being an ovulation, which I'm 10 days post pill now and I've still not ovulated. So it might be a case that this month, again, I've not ovulated. We'll soon see. Because if I haven't ovulated, then I'll do the Provera challenge again, you know, induce the withdrawal bleed, and I'll just try the 3rd cycle. She said, where did you get the clomiphene? I said, online. I was quite open about it. I said, my doctors wouldn't, I said, I'll wait 6 weeks for an appointment. When I'm there, I'll have to battle with the doctor to give me a blood test, let alone a clomiphene. And she said, no, they probably wouldn't prescribe it for you. It's a fertility treatment. I was like, well, hello, I'm not being very fertile over here. It was scary. I said to my husband in the car when I was driving back, the fact that she turned round to me, this is a specialist consultant of the endocrinology department in the NHS, said to me that I have educated her today. She has learned things that she did not know. Well, that in itself is a joke. And she's a lovely woman. I'm not disrespecting her and her ability outside of the NHS spectrum. As a mum, as a wife, mind you, she's probably amazing. She's a very lovely person. However, as a specialist consultant that told me 2 years ago that I had HA, which she asked me what HA meant, I said it's an abbreviation for hypothalamic amenorrhea because that's a mouthful. And she laughed and said, oh, yeah. And I thought, oh my God, like 2 years ago, you sat me down and you delivered the news that I've got HA. I then left that appointment none the wiser. She didn't explain to me what it was, how to overcome it, why I've got this. She just went, well, you've gained weight, you're bigger than you were. Didn't even ask me about my exercise regime. She just naturally assumed that maybe I had stopped exercising because I gained weight. I don't know, but she didn't ask me about that. All she said was, cycle's not returned, so I'm asking you to be on the estrogen therapy to reduce bone density loss and also to carry on the way that you are. Oh, thanks, because that's really going to magic my period back. I could have done this 2 years ago, guys. I could have sat in that appointment and I could have learned far, far more from somebody who should have told me more about what the hell is going on with me. If she had have sat there and said to me 2 years ago, right, Emma, this is HA, this is why it's happened, this is how we can overcome it. If you do this, then you are quite likely to, one, get your period back, and two, get yourself back on track for a short period of time where you might be eating a bit more than what you feel comfortable doing, and doing different types of exercises, not even having to cut it all out, but just trying weight training or another form of less intense exercise overall on the stress and body. Well, actually, that's not quite true, because weight training is a stress on the body, but you know what I mean. Taking rest periods, taking time off, eating properly, then maybe 2 years ago, I might have given it a bit more of a go, but I left that appointment knowing, excuse my French, fuck all about HA. The only thing I learned about HA was what I've researched and dealt with myself. And that is a sad, sad fact, because I fear for the generation underneath me. You know, I'm 31, coming on 32, and there are 21, 22-year-olds underneath us now that are surrounded by the fitness industry and eating less and less and less and less calories, low carb diets, this, that and the other, veganism. You know, I've got nothing against any of them if they work for that particular person and remain in a healthy body, fair play. But majority of the time, it's not the case. And they're underneath me. And if this is the sort of consultants that are acting on behalf of the NHS, educating the patient on their condition, then Christ, we're just going to have an epidemic of it. Honestly, it's going to be the epidemic of HA. Our recovery, which is in a small group now, you know, those that follow on Facebook and stuff, for Nicola Rinaldi's Facebook group, which I have heard of. I'm just not on Facebook, so I don't really, you know, I'm not on there, so I don't go on there. But people that do follow them groups, there's a few thousand people in there. So, you know, flip side, go in 10 years in the future, this could be tens of thousands of women that have been endless cardio for hours and hours a day with very little food and fuel to keep them alive, which is why their body is shutting down their organs or systems like the reproduction system, because it's fearful that they're killing themselves. Slowly but surely, you're killing yourself. And I tell you what, there needs to be more done about it. I mean, I left there and I laughed a little bit to myself, thinking, what a bloody statement. You have educated me. Well, okay, I take some pride in the fact that I obviously know what I'm talking about and delivered that information to this woman in hope that the next girl of late 20s like me that walks in and is in exactly the same situation as she might be able to turn around and say, well, have you tried this? Or why don't you go down this road? And actually that might help them. It might help them to realise a darn sight sooner than what I did about the dangers of what's happening within you and why you need to do this to recover your period. You know, I go back to that podcast I listened to weeks and weeks ago about that ancient scientist woman. I mean, she sounded as if she was in her 60s, so I'm going to trust everything she says. And she went, you know, if a woman hasn't had a minimum of normal, natural estrogen and progesterone, in particular progesterone, within their body for 30 to 35 years, they are at far, far greater risk of osteoporosis, of dementia, of heart conditions. Simple fact. That was enough to say to me, well, I want my period back. And the only way that I'm going to get progesterone naturally in my body is to ovulate. And the only way to ovulate is to sort my shit out. Yes, I know I'm being hypocritical to a certain degree because I am still training. However, I've started a new training program of lots of weight bearing, high weight, low reps training with very little cardio, 1 run a week, and I'm sticking to that. But I'm also eating. You can see my previous video of what I ate in a day, and that is just an average day. Sometimes I eat more. Very rarely do I eat any less, which is the key thing. But I'm fueling every single thing. I'm not dropping stones of weight for my training. My training is just maintaining my muscle mass to where I want it to be at for the minute, for while I'm in this journey. Okay, if I do get my period back, what am I going to start doing? No, I'm not going to start doing a load more cardio, but maybe reduce the food slightly so that I look less bulky. Some people look at me and don't think I look bulky. Other people do. It's just their own personal preference. My personal preference, I prefer my body to look a little bit less bulky than I do. And the reason it looks bulky is because I weight train, but I also eat quite a few calories. And that is why your body will stay in bulky phase. But don't be scared of that, because you can lean bulk, you can eat more, so in a calorie surplus, weight train, build up all that muscle, so that when you do get your period back and you've had it back for a couple of natural cycles, you can do whatever the hell you want, but do it gradually. Do a cut for 5-6 weeks, cut your calories for 5 weeks, 6 weeks at very, very most. And then once you've done on that 6 weeks, go back to eating at your maintenance or higher. And cycle it. You know, I will lean bulk now for probably 12 weeks, and then I will gain as much muscle mass as possible, and then I will do a 6-week cut, and I will cut my calories by 15% of my total daily expenditure, which, you know, for me at, say, a maintenance level, mine's probably around 2.5, 2.6. I would need to cut to about 2.1, 2.2. Yeah, that's all. And you do it for 6 weeks, and then you get your maintenance. So you go back up to maybe 2.4, 2.5, because your maintenance is always going to come down the leaner that you get. And then you eat that 2.4, 2.5. If you're happy with how you look, then you eat 2.4, 2.5 day in, day out. And that's what I'm eating now, and some. And I tell you what, it's a good amount of food, and I am happy. And I would be very, very happy if I could knock a little bit off, mind you, so I'm not as bulky, but that I've 1, got my period, 2, got my happiness, and 3, can train and eat the way that I'm doing. Oh my God, that would be a godsend. I'm going to shorten this video now because it has been long. I can just talk for England. I'm so sorry. Anybody that watches these videos, I hope I am inspiring you and not boring you to tears. But anyway, that is my journey today. And I'm hopeful that with this ridiculously high estrogen level, which was only last week, that potentially I might ovulate this month, because high estrogen is going to mean high follicle, development. And the higher the development, sorry, I've got a stain on my trousers. It's probably the porridge. The higher the follicle dominant, the more likely it's going to burst and, find its way into my tubes. Oh God, one can only hope. Anyway, if you like the video, guys, subscribe, or not subscribe, like it, which is the thumbs up thing, and subscribe if you want to follow my journey. I hope everybody's well and doing well in their recovery, and feel free to privately email me if you want to share yours. Okay, bye.
We're always on the edge, yeah. We fight and make love at the same time. Would you break up just because I told you?